for the plowing, the physically training. And times have changed. And what mechanization of agriculture has done, unfortunately, it has also pushed women to the periphery, because mechanization then now needs men.
It's masculine.
It's masculine.
It's assumed to be
masculine. So we are also not involving women. But when it comes to agribusiness and agri-tech, and now we start looking at it from that direction, as you can see now the numbers have gone up. And we are now looking at women of between 35, so we have some element of young women there. Yeah. So I believe when we start now looking at it from that dimension, we try to attract the young people into this space.
And I feel like if, the country positions itself in this perspective, you say, it's not the usual, you have to wear the rugged clothes and go into the farm, and you take a hoe, you have to do a lot of physically straining activities. If you use, machines, it would be so much easier for you. Are there things maybe that your organization is doing on this front?
I think first is to do a research. Like I said, I think for me, generation of evidence in any new space that you're trying to get into is always very important. And like I said, one of the things we've been looking at is how are new technologies affecting women's participation in agriculture, and especially smallholder farmers. We have counties that are now using drones in Western Kenya. I mean, technology has gone to that level. And there are women in other counties that I don't want to mention that have never heard about a drone. So you are looking at that disparity, and you are looking at how can you close the gap that exists. So I believe there is so much to do. There is so much research around is mechanization of agriculture and introduction of new technologies, is it going to help women or not? Is it going to push them to the periphery? Is it going to alienate them, because then it becomes a masculine issue? But are we also providing the right training and education to ensure that we close that knowledge gap and we position women as actual beneficiaries of that technology and that mechanization?
And as we begin to conclude, and I've said this before conversation, women farmers are rarely engaged in policy making processes, and this is usually, policy making is very important in setting the boundaries that people should be operating within. And usually, I believe for this particular, this particular issue, there's a lot of agency involved and advocacy that is involved. Could there be a way in which the women themselves are the ones who are advocating for this change?
Yes, by giving them the agency, like you said, by ensuring that we put the women at the decision-making table. But also I feel for us in the development world, once we have such projects and we have resources to shape certain projects, we do not put the beneficiary first. So it is our faces that are being seen. For example, it's a farmer who should be on this table discussing the issues, right? So one of the things we can do that is ensuring that we are participating or we are promoting farmer-led advocacy by putting the farmers in front of their issues, right? So farmers to be able to voice, not just us every day talking about, oh, there are these challenges in agriculture, women are facing ABCD, but where are the actual women? Where are the actual women farmers to speak up for themselves? So in addition to just creating that space for them to speak up, ensuring that we have given them the right tools, the right training, the right resources, we have taken them to the right offices, we have to train them, for example, how to come up with their own memorandas, right? We have to train them, for example, if you go to a public engagement meeting or a public participation meeting, this is what you say. You speak up for yourself. So I like that we are also thinking about promoting farmer-led advocacy by putting farmers in front, and we go behind and we support from a distance with resources, with the right training, with the right skills, and providing those platforms. But then we put the farmers to be the face of this problem, quote unquote. And I think if we do that, then we will have a crop of women farmers who are able to speak up for themselves, who are able to raise their own issues, because like you said, they are the wearer of the issue. And sometimes people will not listen to us because, oh, then you are NGO. But when we do put farmers first and we support farmer-led advocacy and we put farmers as the people who are actually championing for this change, I think we're going to have some results.
Right, Mumbi, and finally, you know, this conversation has been very doom and gloom. You know, the numbers are looking so depressing. Women are disenfranchised. You know, they're disproportionately affected, especially when it comes to policies that have already been put in place that are not being implemented. But where do you see the future? Where do you see women in agriculture in the next 5 years? Will we still be playing at the 1 to 6% ownership, you know, percentage?
I think that depends on how we shape our conversations moving forward. Like I said, do we just want to be pushing the wagon and not putting, you know, like you have a wagon and you have wheels. It is moving, but you can't tell it's moving, but it's not making any, it's not pushing any distance.
Right.
So when we put farmers first, and we give them the right training, right skills, right resources. And then for us in the development world, we come up with the right interventions for these people.
Right.
I believe that in the next 5 years, we will have overcome a lot of challenges. We will have more women in leadership, and not just in the rural areas, but also in the political landscape. I think the other thing is that once we have women in the national landscape, I tend to feel that most women forget what other women in the rural areas are going through.
Right.
And I think it's a time to also interrogate female leadership at national level and how our women, and come up with programs to see how our women leaders are also supporting our efforts in the grassroots and in the rural areas to also raise another crop of leaders from the rural areas, right? So I see women who be able to speak up for themselves if statistics are anything to go by. I believe that our project, actually it's ending in 5 years time, so
right.
I believe that yes, I want to believe, and not just Hivos, but I know we are so many who are working in this space.